Like, I don't
But then
know.
I decided to go move that in.
Right,
Yeah, then you get the different box.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
that's what.
That's what I was in the hardest transition for us.
Private video.
But then it works.
Good day.
So like if you go back to the same thing.
What's going on, but
Go back to our Zoom, you'll see it'll say that you're live
it's
streaming
still tough.
and recording.
Yesterday I was at Buddy, how do you want to graduate from that? Not the
It
day
is.
box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like,
It worked.
Yeah, I had to call Paul, send across.
Oh,
I needed an update, and we couldn't do the update, which at least you get it to the point where you can update it.
I've worked
It's
for you.
all on. Everything's working.
That's all I got.
We figured, you know, we had to stay for a while, so we go to the park.
Yeah. But one time we mixed it up.
Yeah, one time Janelle had that
Executive
comment,
session.
a lot of things did long executive session.
I'm very glad I came. There's a lot to.
Yeah, there was a lot. Oh my God, it's dark outside.
Oh. Oh. You're a bad, bad man.
You did that, not me. Bad man.
Bye.
May I have a motion to return? Motion. So moved by Mayor Rosenquist, second by Allen. All in favor? Aye. No action taken during this executive session. Okay, we are ready to resume our infrastructure meeting. And the first item on the agenda tonight is approval of minutes from the October 2nd, 2023 infrastructure committee. Motion by Councilor Talon, second by Mayor Rosenquist. All in favor? Aye. Any other changes or additions to the minutes? Okay. Public works. First item tonight is a discussion of the infrastructure report. Michael, you're ready to go.
Yeah, we'll go through these talking points pretty quick. Asphalt plants close, the 10th. So we finished the majority of our large patching, the end of last week. We are still going to keep on patching potholes throughout the city. But for the most part, we did really well at getting opened up a lot of stuff this year. We got to close back up. Moving on, our parks, beach, grounds, normal fall maintenance, our buildings have been shut down. The ones that are not all season have been drinking water and general maintenance. Guys are out there every day working valves and catch basins, obviously. There's a plenty of cleaning still going on with leaves. That goes right into the street sweeping portion of it too, as weather permits, we're out there sweeping. And then doing the biggest one of the season in the next 2 weeks, hopefully the weather holds will be yard waste and leaves. So we're actually doubling and sometimes tripling up on crews. Other items that happen at this period of time is stump grinding, and then tree removal and trimming for the winter season when it comes for snowplows. Moving on to the capital activities, obviously we got Barber Street, any updates on it, we do that. There's one capital project that will be ongoing. It will go as long as it can until weather shuts us out, which will be the slip lining of the River Run Sewer, which runs from Waterhouse Park, or Underwood Trailer Park, I should say, by Waterhouse Park all the way down to Allen Street. So we did the first, let's say 14 or 1500 feet of cleaning camera work. Contractor was back in around the 27th of the month to continue. Like I said, as long as weather permits, we should just keep going away at it. It's something that can happen, as long as they are able to get the tools to the manholes and work below freezing temperatures. One other item that we picked up here is the City Hall roof. Matt Miller's left us, so we're going to pick up that project and we get this thing bid. And when we get some numbers back to you guys, you can at least see what we're looking at. Might be a scary number, but let's get some stuff right back. Miscellaneous activities, we got some special projects. Hopefully we get some of these specialty signs that we can donate towards install in the next couple of weeks. We're working on budget, which we're going to do tonight after the session. Personnel, we do have 4 vacancies currently in Public Works. We are actively advertising, we're very best to go fill. It's a tricky time right now. The last item here you'll see is the NICOM conference, and one of the items that we discussed in the NICOM conference that Andrew and I met was getting and retaining employees. A lot of people have the same problem we're having.
What are those positions?
We have 2 labor positions. We have 1 maintenance 1 position, and then we have a typist, which the typist, we should have that solved pretty quickly. There was the list, they were behind having it because it's a competitive class title. So the list was very depleted. People who left out list were looking for a specific type of job in a certain area. Might have been a school out in Ellenburg that was looking for a typist. They're not interested in public work being that public work. So new list came out. We did 2 interviews today. I got 1 scheduled for Wednesday. And hopefully, so the last item, and this is something this is the first time that I've done this. John goes to conferences all the time. I don't know if he comes back getting smarter right now. It's just at the NICOM conference. The mayor insisted that Andrew and I go to it. I can tell you it was worth it. There was one speaker in particular that, and I actually called the mayor to tell him, said, listen, I go just to see the one guy. He was that good. Topics we went over, we did the ethics session, face of species, right away, letting copper rule, which, good roads, which was not the sense one. They had people from OGS or from DOT talking chips, hiring and retaining employees, oil, and legal reform. Ironically, the one topic that I probably the least like to go to, the legal form, was probably the most informative and probably the best one. So it was good to go. I'm not one to like school. I guess I'm kind of brash in the fact that I died in all my school, 40 years ago, but it was a very, very informative, and I appreciate you guys sending us a lot to learn. So, any questions on any of the topics? And we want to talk about Margaret Street. I know we went short on time tonight, but they did have obviously ribbon cutting, and things are getting fucked up.
Thank you very much.
I'm not just here next one.
All right, the next item on the agenda is item 2.2, a draft resolution to authorize addition of Reeves Lane as a city road. Seconded by Councilor Allen. Discussion.
This is just a formality. Really, what it allows us to do is put it on our streets inventory, and we get CHIPS funding for it. The city annexes property, maybe not here, but a while back. To get it on the inventory, we just need to pass this resolution, and we provide this piece of paper along with some supporting documents to DOT, and we get it added to our inventory, which makes us eligible for more funding.
All in favor of moving this item to the next council agenda? Indicate by saying aye. Aye. Okay, that will move to the council agenda. 2.3, draft resolution authorizing a 2024 refuge rate adjustments. Motion by Mayor Rosenquist, second by Kelly. All well discussion about this. Okay. Discussion.
We can certainly talk about this, and I think it's worth talking about. The city of Plattsburgh, obviously, we provide refuge to city residents. The cost of doing so, obviously, the cost of providing that service does increase with gas and fuel prices, as well as tipping fees, the fees that we pay to dump that garbage into landfill. Those prices are not going down. What we're proposing is a modest increase to the refuse rate, still compared to other providers. Casella, for example, $60 a month. What we're saying is $31 a month for this similar service. We still come in very competitive and pretty reasonable. Other municipalities, like the city of Plattsburgh, they provide this service to all city residents. And that the cost of providing the service is included in the taxes. That is could be a debate that we have at some point. I think it would be. I mean, I'm not a mayor that has shied away from controversial topics. But, I don't know if that's something that we want to dive into, but we do obviously have, other folks in and around the region that provide refuse, service just as we do. Either way, the proposal here, again, is a modest increase to the current rates that we have. And it really is to help us keep up with the cost of the back end of doing business.
A little bit of context on this, last rate increase was 2019, since 2006, we've only increased our rate $2.
Since 2006.
Since 2006. Okay, from 2005 to 2006, there was a jump of $5 a month. So it hasn't been, you know, what's the term you use, regular and reasonable, John?
Routine, reasonable, rate.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, also, and one other point we'll make here is the tipping fees of land, don't forget. My wages, my people forget the equipment, forget all that. Tipping fees in 2019 was 66, 76 a ton. 2023, in 2024, 2023 was $75 a ton. So we're talking $10 a ton. So based on just that alone, you know, not talking about, you know, union raises for men, not talking about equipment costs and maintenance, which were really heavy in the maintenance end of it. A lot of stuff you guys don't see. I mean, you guys sign the POs, you don't really question it very often, but you break a lot of stuff wears out, you know, it's severe duty equipment and you go through a lot of stuff, and whether it be garbage trucks or, you know, maintenance trucks or what have you, but those are all costing, you know, $10 a ton in that period of time, you have to cover something here on that. That's what we did it, and I provided the mayor with a couple of different models for this coming budget. We consider, we try to make sure that Chamber of Commerce is involved in the process to make sure that we weren't over the top. I know some of the people on fixed income are very concerned about these rate increases, but we have to do something.
And compared to the current rates, it's about $1.50. What's being proposed here, $1.50 per month. $1.50.
$1.50.
Upwards, yes, correct.
No further discussion of this item. All in favor of moving this to the agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
They go.
Next item is, item 2.4, to authorize budget adjustments to the general sewer and water funds, temporary payroll, DPW.
Motion.
Second by Councilor Talon. Discussion.
Simply put, it's an increase of the temporary payroll, from the appropriate, budgeted items, from water, sewer, sewer, and transmission distribution.
Okay. Any further discussion? Of those in favor of moving this to the regular agenda, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Item 3.1, environmental. There is to authorize a change order M1 WRRF disinfection and odor control. Motion. Council Rose, Mayor Rosecrest, and seconded by Council Talon. Discussion.
This is a change order to the mechanical contract for the work disinfection of the control project. It's actually a deduct change order. It's the type of duct work that was going to be used to a less expensive kind and a material that could get more quickly than what had originally been specified. So we're getting a credit of $26,000 plus from that.
We are grateful for credits.
I know those are kind of change orders.
It's a pretty good one.
Any further discussion on this side? All in favor of moving this to the regular agenda, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All right. Item number 3.2, want to authorize an award, additional development of production well 1. Motion by Mayor Rosenquist, seconded by Councilor Talon. Discussion.
So production well one is the well we're getting ready to put it into service. And when a well is constructed, it goes through the development process, which is simultaneously pumping water out and then pushing it back in to try to get all the sediments that are in the ground, the finer sediments to move away so that there's greater flow into the well. That was done during the initial construction of the well. Then the well had to go through a 72-hour full pump test, which it passed and everything was fine, but they did notice a modest decrease in the production capacity of the well. That was probably due to the high velocities of the water coming in during this extended pump test. So they're recommending that we do a little bit of additional development to make sure that the well, when it's put online, is at its maximum production capacity. Something like this will need to be done every so often. Depends on the well and how much you pump it. But in this case, it'll be getting us off to a good start here.
So we have two wells now. We have a test well and a production well, is that right?
Right, but only the production well will be used for providing water. So there was a test well out there in Aquifer, I think it was a 4-inch well that was used to figure out what it looked like the strata was and how much the production could be. And we went back 18 months ago, 2 years ago, and put in a production well, which the top 25 feet was actually 30 inches in diameter, and neck down to 24, and then the last, I think, 120 feet was 18 inch. So that's the well we're going to use for actually pulling the water out. So yeah, there's a test well there. There's a production well installed right next to it. The test well will just be sealed off. Phase 2 of the WIA work is a second production well. We've been awarded grant and financing for that, but we are not installing that during this present construction project. That will be in the next phase.
Any further discussion? All in favor of moving this off to the regular meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Executive session, we covered that already. Any new business for this committee? Okay, no members of the public are here to comment tonight, so at this point, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Seconded by Mayor Rosenquist. All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Now, I think we're going to start talking about budget. Don't really have an agenda to do this other than to just work our way through it. How about we start, we'll use the same order and start with the public orders. That be okay?
That'd be great.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if anyone's had a chance. We did have a session before. We went through line by line. I guess we'll start these way. Is there any particular items that you have additional questions on? I didn't already provide explanation for.
I don't have any, I attended those budget workshops and they were very helpful. And, you know, your budgets were explained to us quite well.
Counselors also that and I tried to indicate this in the email that I sent, was the feedback that we did receive during those budget sessions were incorporated into the budget before it was then released as the proposed budget as well. So any of the concerns, like for example, the concerns about IT costs and the savings that we were going to realize coming into this year or coming into the next year, with incorporated concerns about the proposal, Councilor Kelly. This is something that Mike is currently looking through, the proposal for snow removal contract. I know that we had discussed that proposition. We had also talked about a number. You and I specifically talked about adding an additional $40,000 onto this budget as a pilot program for snow removal, snow sidewalk removal, but then also working with, Department of Public Works to also ensure that downtown snow sidewalk removal was also incorporated into some of this work as well, as part of the special assessment district fee or the parking fee. So again, a lot of the discussion that we had regarding the changes that the council wanted to see have been incorporated into this budget.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mayor. I would like to see that $40,000 possibly downtown would be one of the places. We already remove snow downtown. Or any outlying streets or sidewalks in this particular vicinity, I think would be a really good place to start, because we already do it. Not like you have to bring in new equipment.
What I guess we hit on it previously, is the manpower issue.
Yeah.
So one option is potentially contract the work out. So they work at them so far, they got together with the Chamber of Mars to investigate insurance requirements for contractors. Talk about what the wage requirements would be, and the mayor, myself, will have to get together with the city planner and identify those zones that we want to put our fee out for, and make sure that we can find the correct RFP and see where that goes from there. Again, I'll fall back to the previous conversation we had. When we talked about the legal counsel in class. What they advised me there is what I've been advising for years, is if it's not a city-owned sidewalk, you should not take responsibility. We don't want to take the additional effort. But that being said, I need you to request this, we will prepare for a number in front of you. Plus the funds.
I really like to see this, as I've said this before, so I like to see this as a pilot project. To see if it's possible for the city to remove snow from all of our sidewalks, like some other municipalities do. And this would be a good way to test. So I asked the mayor for another test. But he was trying very hard.
I tried, I really
He was
know.
gonna try to-
He was trying to produce a balanced budget, so.
Unfortunately, I'll give it the old college try, but I don't believe we're gonna get any takers on this, unfortunately, based on the insurance requirements that are required by our insurance company. And I also checked with other insurance companies, particularly the other main provider, which is NYMAR, who was actually at the executive director of this conference. He gave us some time to talk about liability and what they do. They have 962 members in New York State, and they all advise the same thing. That is, do not take on this. And not for the reasons you might think. That was something that I learned about, was not so much people tripping and falling on a sidewalk, but people getting pushed out if you don't get to a sidewalk in a timely manner, people getting pushed out into the road and getting hit by a car. Those are the big claims they're having nowadays. People, pedestrians getting pushed into the road for whatever reason. Pushed by the snow being in the sidewalk and then finding it more comfortable to be.
Because the roads,
Wait, but wouldn't that be the reason to clear the sidewalks?
Well,
Not the reason
and,
to
yeah, but it's made, if the city is taking on a sidewalk.
Oh,
that's
it's not clear to a certain, by a certain.
Exactly.
channel.
That is the art.
Doesn't the city own all of the sidewalks?
We own the sidewalks, but it's the responsibility by local laws and the code for the homeowners to clear the sidewalks or business owners that's in front of them.
But
So
the
that's-
issue is that we do have, of course, as we know, abandoned buildings, abandoned storefronts, abandoned properties, and they don't get addressed. And,
Well, they actually do, because the building inspector, there was a mechanism, they call me up, and they give me a list, and we go down through, and we have a procedure, and we clear those sidewalks, and it's not it's very expensive, very costly for these people. It gets put against taxes, and obviously taxes don't get paid, but there are a lot of people who do pay their taxes, and usually after one or two times, send $5,000 bill, they stop.
yeah, for sure, it's just that, like, where I'm looking at it coming from is that, I understand the liability to the city, but what I care the most about is people not getting hurt, and, the elderly and the people out walking, which is something a lot of people, and we're trying to encourage people to do more of, and, for example, the property next to me, and it's not even downtown, like, it may, eventually, somebody may come and address it in the city, but it takes a while, and, and meanwhile, it's, I shuffle a lot just because I'm concerned about like my elderly neighbors walking and then, yes, walking in the street and things like that. So, I mean, it comes down to sometimes this question that we keep moving back to, which is that it might not, there's drawbacks to both sides, it seems to me, and it just might be one of those
Well,
things.
absolutely, like I said, my job is to request has been made, I'll do my very best to get RFP out there and get some numbers to bring back to you guys and show them.
And that's it.
And you can make that decision. That's all I can do for you, really.
If the council approves the budget, I would like to see that $40,000 spent. If that means we can only do Cornelia Street and make it safe for pedestrians one time, then it's been a good experience. Hopefully we can do it 3 or 4, or maybe every snowfall. But just a pilot program to see what we can do. How hard is it for us to do something? That's the question. There's no target goal or anything like that. In my little thing, let's spend that money and see what we can do. That's my.
Always have we put our best to try to, if you approve the budget we got in there, we'll try to get some prices and try to see what we got.
It's true that we are a very walkable city, but that walkability ceases in the wintertime. For many people, we have a population here that's growing older every year, and they could certainly benefit from the opportunity to walk a little more in the wintertime. So, let's see what we can do.
People do walk, by the way, I've seen people walking, some of the Braceles actually use a bike still. Yeah, and I would agree, Captain Kelly, not certainly not at all, but, I think we all have in mind the concerns of liability and what the city's going to be liable for. But at the same time, there are factors that we can take to mitigate some of the concerns that we have about the walkability of our city. And again, I also point to Cornelia Street, and as much as we point to that street, it's very hard to discuss without getting emotional, especially when in the wintertime we see people that can't afford to drive, they can't afford cabs, they can't afford Instacart, and they've got to walk with their groceries in the street. It's just the most like unfair thing. Yeah.
Those electric lights.
Yeah.
They're gonna put
Yeah.
like chains on the side.
The problem with Cornelia Street right now is you don't have to set sidewalks.
We don't have.
We do not have complete sidewalks in there, so it's, you're still shoving people out. There's a lot of section of sidewalk in front of McDonald's, and they get shoved down the road, when they get past it, so that is a problem. Now, the good news is we are in the process of working through another very major, improvement, and, hopefully that will be addressed. Any other questions relating to the public works budget, any particular line, that discussion? I think Council Bob was, wasn't at the previous meeting, one of the things we did pick up on. Council Moore had talked about, making sure we account for inflation. The previous budget year, we had done pretty well, but one item in particular that I think we overcorrected for was our energy costs in public works facilities. So there was a pretty good cut on the, gas and electric bills in there. Did not offset some of the other increases, but it was, sizable, that's what we can point out. It is indeed a budget. You do your very best, we want to perform well with our overtime, working, within it. I'm proud about that. I don't know if you guys halfway through the year say I need more for overtime. We typically run understaffed, even though we have these positions. It's a constant battle to keep it filled. Since I've been here, I want to say average probably 1.5 bodies down what's actually the roster. right now without.
Just wanted to say that I think your budget reflects the wide scope of work that is probably the hardest budget.
That's why I'm so excited about the sidewalks.
Well, we're just throwing stuff at you.
Yeah.
He's so good at picking it up.
You're fine. You're really-
That's what I tell you.
That's what he tells us all the
Well, what did I say to you? I mean, am I just gonna leave it there, or am I gonna do something about it? You pay me to do something about it. Okay, and that's, I'm the guy that fixes this stuff for you. So.
He usually yells, Andrew.
And on that note, on that note, this proposed budget and voted budget coming specifically out of the Department of Public Works, as was noted in the budget packet, and the departmental review of the budget packet, we do focus a significant amount of this budget, not only just on the basic operations that we've seen, but also we are adding an additional person in the parking, which is still the parking fund, but they are managed under the Department of Public Works. Currently, there's one downtown laborer or downtown person for downtown maintenance, garbage pickup, weeding, and those basic beautification projects downtown. We are adding a second person to that team to have 2 full-time people downtown helping, making sure we're cleaning up, taking care of the Arts Park, taking care of the Riverwalk, making sure that we do have somebody in addition to help with these beautification projects. That also includes park maintenance. We have added additional people to the parks and beautification budget to ensure we also have extra money in summertime to help clean up parks and maintain parks. A lot of what we've heard over the last couple of years is these things that have been in disrepair need to be taken care of, they need to be focused on, and we're doing that. We've cleaned up Margaret Street, we've installed the Riverwalk, we finalized the Betty Little Arts Park, and now it's time to add resources to maintain those things. The same with the Parks Renewal Project, we've got a good park design that's going out to bid. That'll come back, we'll start park construction next year on those improvements, chipping away at it, but then also adding those additional people to ensure that those things are maintained over time. This is what our community has been demanding of us. That's what this, particularly with the Department of Public Works, delivers. If it were up to me, this budget would be increased by another $1 million because of the work that they do. They are out here every single day throughout the city, working on multiple different kinds of projects. They are not just one specific focus. They are holding up our city, this department, and they deserve that recognition.
Here.
Here.
Thank you very
Why
much.
not?
Wow. That's a tough act to follow. He's sitting.
We're over it. See if you could top that.
We've got questions on everyone.
So I'm here to answer questions on water and or wastewater treatment. We've talked about a lot of this. For the most part,
Let me ask all, we would rather do water first, sewer
we'll do water first, since it flows that direction.
flows downhill.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
We're trying to get those.
Sewer flows
questions.
down too.
So,
Water budget, anybody have any questions or concerns about the water budget? And it too is somewhat complicated.
it's pretty much the same as last year, and overall, the water fund is projected to have more revenue than expense. Generate profit, basically, so it's in good shape. Reserves aren't quite as high as we'd like it to be, but we do have good cash flow. Expense, for the most part, has been stable, revenue's been stable, and we've got a lot of grant money and low-cost financing to do the infrastructure work. So it's been really good for the water system.
There was a period of time a few years ago when the water system seemed to run a deficit. What happened?
I didn't get into deficit mode?
No,
Or how did,
I'm sorry, I should be more specific. How did it improve?
basically keeping expenses stable, almost flatlined. And the creation of the impact demand charge, which really didn't cost people all that much individually, but it generated enough revenue to close that gap and to provide a little extra.
Are you looking at any rate increases in?
I believe we budgeted 1.5% on the usage rate, which is probably cents per month to the average user. So, Mike had mentioned earlier the 3 Rs, routine, reasonable rate increases. As we know, if we do something modest, consistently, we don't get into a situation where all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we've got a deficit or a big deficit that needs a big adjustment.
Right. Or a major project like Lake Country Village to fund with no support for funding that like a investment charge. And again, when was the last time? Because we just, I think we just recently, maybe 2 years back, increased that, and then before then, do you remember?
I think it's been a while.
Yeah.
We were going on 8 or 10 years without any adjustments.
And again, it's not my intention or strategy to raise rates on unreasonably raise rates. I think it's reasonable to make small, modest adjustments as, we go on and do business because we are investing in the system, because cost of materials, and particularly with water and sewer, the cost of chemicals has out of the roof here. So, that's also something that we're very mindful of. As much as we try to fill that gap with the rates that we currently collect, it is not our position to completely fill the gap by raising the rates. I think that's reasonable either. So.
Other questions or concerns about the water system? But let's move right into
So wastewater, okay, it's pretty much the same story there. It's for the most part the same budget, except for a few components, most of which are chemical increases that we've actually already incorporated to revise the 2023 budget. And our biosolids or sludge disposal costs are up substantially, and we're working on a long-term plan for that.
I think it is worth noting, John just mentioned a long-term plan for biosolids and organic management. This is something that we have hired, gone out to study. Currently, I think we're still in the process of gathering the information, but we are looking at what does that long-term strategy look like for the city of Plattsburgh. It's because of some of the chemical makeup that scientists and the state governments are starting to find, as well as the cost for disposal. It may be more beneficial for us to find a more localized solution to managing biosolids, using some newer technology as well as resources that we currently have.
Any other questions or concerns? Well, we'll wrap this up by saying we sure appreciate water. And we sure appreciate sewer.
Mike and Janelle make it happen.
Don't forget to flip your ballot
We're the
tomorrow.
distributors.
Without you guys, we wouldn't be,
John's just the
Being
topper,
serious.
he's the one to do the work.
Without water and wastewater, we wouldn't have a need for public works.
Somebody's gotta plow the road through police and fire. Police and fire have to have heroes too,
so, any other questions or concerns back regarding these public works and sewer water budgets?
Hold on.
Yeah, hold on.
I had a note and I just need to make sure it's who it's covered under.
John.
Find your notes.
I have to find my notes. Hold on.
She said I have the note, I just need to see who it's covered
We're
under.
not
So
we're
John.
not in a rush. We're not.
No,
Took the whole night off just for this.
I appreciate you.
All right, I Or is it?
This is capital programs, okay?
So it's not
It's
anything
right.
to do with them?
Well, you could ask.
Typically, capital,
Okay.
sorry, council, if it's a capital program, I would ask it here, they may have answers to it. The majority of the capital programs either come through DPW or water source, so you probably get your question answered.
Because I was looking at the water operating bonds.
Yes,
I'm just wondering if these are new or if they're existing.
Page are we on?
24.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it's under the capital plan?
11.
I see, yep.
Yeah, but remember, this is my first time.
yep, no,
here, so
of course.
I need to know.
Any questions?
Yeah, we don't have one that's valid.
Good question, okay, don't worry about that. So what, you want to question the water and operating bond?
I just want to know if this is new, this, is that
That's
a
a-
bond?
So that is a consolidation of all of the projects that may come out of that fund. Okay, so this is a projection of new projects that may come out of that water operating or bond payments from the water operating, of the water operating, fund.
Okay,
Yep,
and
and that includes, I'm sorry, so just to give you an understanding of what those projects mean.
Is it like these, the water filtration plant, the water source of supply,
Yeah,
water distribution?
typically that's where that money would come from, the water sourcing. Either water reserves or bonds, IIC funds, so the dam improvements, watershed improvements. Production wells, although production wells are already funded, through, grants and low interests. So there's a consolidation of those.
Right, so over here, we have like the open amounts right now for those water projects.
So that would be groundwater supply, raw transmission lines, so the transmission lines that go from either the reservoir or the well into the water treatment plant. Lateral replacements, the lines that go from the main water mains over to the buildings, individual buildings, water meter reading systems, hydrant replacement plan, if there is one, things like that. So that's what that would be.
okay,
That's what would fund, that's where the money would come out to fund those kinds of
Okay.
projects. Yep.
okay,
See what happens here after
Yep.
year.
mhm.
Get along right.
Did I answer your question?
Yes. One more, but this one is for either Andrew or Mike. Do you know how much we're gonna get in chips this year? Or next year?
I want to, well,
We know
what we get annually, if all the programs, and we say chips. Again, it's chips.
Yeah.
It's paid New York,
Yeah, yeah.
EWR, Cobbles, and we're about 2.067 million per year. With a rollover, I want to say the last letter was 5.
Yeah, a lot of that's, we're using quite a bit of the touring routes funding for the Margaret Street project.
Yep.
So we'll have this spring, once we close out the Margaret Street project, I will submit reimbursements for all the items that I can, through CHIPS and touring routes. Once that's done, in May or June is when they generally send us our new letter with our new allotment.
Yeah.
Plus
So,
whatever rollover.
Yeah, so whatever rolls over, we just sent in a reimbursement. For last, I wanna say around $500,000, which Chamberlain marks, it's a really simple procedure. As we close out projects, the road resurfacing jobs is what I key on typically, and I work with my office manager where it's as fast as I can get it built, get it invoiced, get the canceled check back, and get them all the appropriate paperwork, we're on it, and get it back. Bigger stuff, like Margaret Street, we need to have the whole job done, the set of criteria is a little bit more difficult, but Andrew's right on top of it, because it's only a simple project.
so for Margaret Street, when they get back in the spring and they do the work, I'm hoping they'll have everything completed. I can submit for reimbursement. So in June, when they send us our new allotment letter, I'm hoping that we will have already been reimbursed for all the Margaret Street. So that will give us an accurate account of what we have, because we've already been reimbursed and used our fundings for the Margaret Street project. So hopefully in June, we'll have a real good idea. And really, we can call our CHIPS representative at any time, and he's really good about, okay, you just submitted this. So if I say it goes past June and they send us our letter, I can call him in July after we've received our reimbursement check, and he'll tell me the exact numbers of what we have in each one of our accounts.
Now, a document I can't give you now, we have a spreadsheet that shows an accounting of the CHIPS money and what is applied to capital projects, because as you know, they're funding two different streams, whether it be, Margaret Street with water and sewer funds, so general fund money, but.
Yeah, I didn't bring it. That's the one folder I didn't bring from
Yeah, it's a
Margaret
folder
Street.
we didn't bring, but we can get that for you if you wanna see what is coming out for each thing. The positive with the road resurfacing for this year, I think I mentioned at a prior meeting, is, we did extremely well. We beat all the estimates, we had good yield. When I say yield, the amount of asphalt we figured and the amount of area covered was we did well with that. So all the projects were, I think, plus it was 200 over, I think 200 grand
yeah.
under what we had estimated for the, I think we did 8 or 9 this year projects. So it went very well.
I'm good.
Yeah, so, and before, again, just a friendly reminder, as you are reviewing this, just please let us know if there's any other questions that you have. We can send that to department heads or people who want to come up here, who are representatives of the department budget. We can get those questions answered ahead of time or at the time of the meeting. But again, like I said before, those budget meetings that we had, all those concerns that council shared were also incorporated back into the budget that came out as the mayor's proposed budget on the 2nd of October, on the 8th of October. Okay, well, thank you so much. I do appreciate this.
Thanks,
Very
guys.
productive. Thank you.